So hello everyone, good morning. This is the last class. Sheena madam must have started the antiviral drugs. Now the antiviral drugs can be divided into the normal drugs which are used for the viruses. Madam must have taken care of those points. Here we will specify the antiviral drugs which are effective against HIV infection. So antiretroviral agent, and these group of drugs are specifically known as antiretroviral agents for the treatment of HIV infection. Other than that, the other group is known as anti-non-retroviral agents for the viral infection. So quite specific, the topic is that the drugs, those which are used for the treatment of AIDS or HIV infection will be dealt in this section, and they are called as antiretroviral agents. Now the term HIV and AIDS, you must be knowing. HIV is what? It is human immunodeficiency virus or human immunodeficiency virus, and AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, right? So this is a syndrome which happens through this HIV infection. Now much talk is going about this corona and all, and that has maybe superseded this HIV infection. Now no one is talking about HIV and AIDS. Everyone is into corona and all. So it's like a viral infection, and when we talk about the viral infection, the viruses are what? They are the living or non-living. They are, see, the characteristics are both of living also and non-living also. So you cannot say for sure that this is living and non-living based on the characteristics, but ultimately it's a non-living thing, and it's an obligatory parasite. It's an obligatory parasite which is dependent on its survival on the human and human primates, right? So once when it gets inside the human body, then only it gets activated and then replicate, and then it survives on the human body, human cells. So these are viruses. The structure and all must have been talked in the first class itself. So in the coming two classes, including today's class, we'll be seeing many topics. We'll be discussing many topics under this broad heading. But ultimately, what you need to know would be the life cycle of HIV, the classification of drugs which are used in the treatment of HIV infection or AIDS, individual drugs of each group. See, there are many drugs which comes under this antiretroviral drugs, and many more are coming. Much emphasis is being given for the upcoming drugs for the treatment of this particular disease. So every year you will get one or the other drug which is included in the treatment of this group of disease. So individual drug, the important drug which are there, we will be discussing that. The mechanism of action, the adverse effects, and then uses. See, mechanism of action would be similar. So one broad mechanism I'll be saying, and that would be applicable for all the groups, all the drugs which comes under that group. Adverse effects would be some specific adverse effects and some general adverse effects, and uses also some specific and some general uses would be there of each drug. Then the principles of chemotherapy at last, the second class, and then what are the various HIV treatment regimen. Now this particular HIV treatment regimen is very important. Thinking and seeing the last year question paper, this particular question had come for MBBS, I am saying, for NTI University. The writer or discuss about the HIV treatment regimen, and most of the students, they left this question. So you should give specific emphasis on the HIV treatment regimen. So to introduce the topic, what is this virus? It is a type of lentiviruses, and that is the type of that comes under the family of retrovirus. And when it infects the human body, it goes inside, penetrates inside the cell, then from there is constant replication goes on. Replication goes on, and then there is increase in the number of the viruses, which increases the viral load. And that ultimately, because of the increase of this viral load, the symptoms or the infection occurs, and because of that, the person feels sick. The natural host for this virus is human or non-human primates, and there are two families which are specifically involved. The first is HIV-1. Most of epidemic of this virus or due to this virus happens because of this particular type, HIV-1, and it has 5 subfamilies, and all are genetically very diverse in nature. The second one is HIV-2. It is related to simian immunodeficiency virus, and that is restricted to Africa. So you will find this HIV-2 related infection mostly concentrated in Africa. This NNRTI, this is active against specific HIV-1 infection. Otherwise, all other group of drug, they are effective against HIV-1 as well as HIV-2 also. But this NNRTI, we'll see the full form and the respective drugs which falls under this category. So NNRTI is HIV-1 specific. Coming to the life cycle of HIV. This is much more similar to the life cycle of any of the viruses. So last 2 classes, I guess, antiviral drugs, there the life cycle of common viruses must have been discussed. Here I will be discussing the life cycle of HIV. See, there are virus. Hope you remember the structure of the virus, where there is inside there is a DNA or a RNA. Then there is a protein may be there, and then there is a spike. Those spikes are made up of the viral glycoprotein. There are different type of viral glycoprotein. Now those viral glycoprotein helps in attaching the viruses with the cells, and thus infection occurs. So viral glycoprotein, they attaches themselves, or the viruses attaches themselves via their glycoprotein with the host CD4 cells or the chemokine receptor. So the initial target are the CD4 or the chemokine receptors, you can say. Now when this happens, there is fusion of virus and host cell membrane, and this fusion occurs via glycoprotein 41. So as I told, there are glycoprotein responsible for attaching viruses to the cells, CD4 cells. So here we can say that glycoprotein 41, there is one more glycoprotein we'll see in the figure. So glycoprotein 41 helps in the attaching the viruses with the host cells, specifically CD4 and chemokine receptor, for example. Now when this happens, after that, the virus or the virion, you can say, which can infect the human or human cells, they are easily entered into the cell. So entry of virion into the cell. After that, what happens? Once it is inside the cell, then there is a release of viral RNA. So full length viral RNA, they are released in the cytoplasm. So there is a full length viral RNA floating down in the cytoplasm. Now when that is there is a reverse transcription occurs. Reverse transcription occurs with the enzyme reverse transcriptase, and this enzyme helps in conversion of single-stranded HIV RNA genome into double-stranded DNA. Now this is converted by the help of which enzyme? The reverse transcriptase enzyme, and the process is known as reverse transcription. So double stranded DNA is formed, and then this double stranded DNA will integrate into the host chromosome. Now this is the place where there is inclusion of the viral replicated viral double stranded DNA into the host chromosome, and this takes place by the enzyme integrase, or called as viral integrase, and this particular step is known as integration. The first was like fusion or the entry, okay. Then the next one is the viral transcription or the transcriptase enzyme, then integration. Then next we'll see. Now, once the whole thing is integrated in the chromosome, there is the gene transcription by the host cell. Now, host cell will act as the viral DNA, and then it will form specific mRNA, and then a specific protein would be synthesized. This happens after the integration. So the protein which will be formed will be quite influenced by the genetic material or the DNA of the viral which was replicated earlier. So after this, when the proteins and all is formed, the envelope and structural protein assembles at the cell surface. Now at the cell surface only, there are many structures formed, and then there are many proteins formed which are attached to the surface. And then there is concentration, or there is enveloping of cholesterol-rich lipid fat around the proteins and all. And then there is a budding occur through the cell membrane, and which this creates a new envelope, HIV particles, and that would be containing 2 complete single-stranded RNA genome. So this is like a stepwise life cycle of HIV. So viral glycoprotein combined with the host cell CD4 chemokine. Now there is fusion of this via GP41, and then there is entry of virion into the cell, and full length viral RNA enters into the cytoplasm. Then reverse transcription occurs where there is single stranded RNA is converted to double stranded DNA, and then there is integration occurs in the chromosome. Now this after integration, there is gene transcription and the formation of specific protein, and there is enveloping of the structural protein along with the cholesterol and rich lipid rafts, and there is enveloping of all these and forming a nucleocapsid which contains a single stranded RNA, and then the new virion is formed, which is ready for the infecting other cells. So this is a figure showing, now this particular figure is taken from Goodman and Gilman. This particular figure shows the whole life cycle, and where all the different group of drug gives its action. So now we have this virion, and this is like mature extracellular HIV virion, and this is ready for the infecting the human cells. It is having this protein GP160 and GP41. As I told in the earlier slide, this GP41 is responsible for attaching this virion with the CD4 or chemokine receptor. Once attachment occurs, fusion occurs, there is entering of this virion inside the cell, and then there is release of this virion genomic RNA into the cytoplasm. Okay, so this is called attachment and fusion, and then there is penetration and then uncoating to release the virus by virion genome RNA. Now this causes after this there is a reverse transcription occurs, which forms RNA to double stranded unintegrated DNA. That happens in the presence of reverse transcriptase enzyme, and this process is known as reverse transcription. Now after formation of this double stranded unintegrated DNA, there is integration of this into the host chromosome. This gets integrated inside along with the host chromosome, and that influences the formation of specific protein. So based on this structure, there is formation of viral mRNA and then RNA. And then these structural proteins or regulatory proteins are formed. Examples are given over here. So these are formed and they assemble to form a new virions. Okay, here they forms assemble and then the budding and then there is release of mature extracellular HIV virion, and this is ready for infecting another cell. So now this is integration, then there is transcription, and then there is translation, and then budding and release, and then maturation. So many steps are formed. Many steps are involved here. The steps are attachment and fusion, penetration, reverse transcription, integration, transcription, translation, budding and release, and maturation. So these steps can be blocked in order to have the antiviral activity, isn't it? So that is the very much idea of developing the antiviral drugs specific for the HIV infection. So when we give this drug, this inhibits this particular path. So enfovirtide, this inhibits the attachment and fusion. Then we have maraviroc, that inhibits that blocks the CD4 receptor and chemokine receptor, so that this is not available for binding with any of the virion, so that it won't go inside and those all other steps will not be happening. Then there is another group which will be active against this reverse transcription, which enables the enzyme reverse transcriptase through a specific mechanism we'll see. And those group of drug are known as nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor and non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor. Then there are drugs which inhibits the integration process by inhibiting the integrase enzyme. And then there is a step of budding and release that is taken care by protease inhibitor. So we will see the individual group of drug one by one. Before that, we'll see how the viruses causes disease. Now, as we have already seen the life cycle of antiretroviral drugs, retroviral or viruses. Now we'll see how the virus causes disease. There is sexual acquisition of HIV infection by one or handful of infectious viruses. Usually, one or two viruses are not that complicated or are not that much have the capacity to infect the person because our immunity system is that strong enough. But we cannot say for sure. So one or handful of infectious virus may infect the human body, human cells by sexual acquisition. Now, a rapid replication takes place, and this peaks in 2 to 4 weeks. And in this 2 to 4 weeks, there may be the possibility of more than 10 to the power 9 cells which may get infected in this duration. So after these many cells gets infected, there is slight transient dip in the CD4 lymphocyte. CD4 lymphocyte numbers will be decreased and transiently. As a result of now, after this, there would be host immune responses. Okay, so as a result of new host immune responses and target cell depletion, the viral load declines to a steady state. It will reach to a steady state from where the increase in the viral load will not be that significant. But then the story is remaining. After that, the CD4 T lymphocyte count begins a steady state decline with a rise in viral load. After that, what happens? Here, the viral load was initially declined for transient period. After that duration, there is decline in the CD4 T lymphocyte, but there is rise in the viral load. And when the CD4 cells count goes below 200 cells per cubic millimeter, then there are chances of many opportunistic diseases, and then ultimately death occurs. So it is not wrong to say that HIV is basically a consequence of CD4 lymphocyte depletion. When the CD4 cells count decreases to this number, less than this number, then there are risk of opportunistic disease, and then ultimately death may happen. When the CD4 cells are more than this, or a good numbers are there, then there are lesser chance of opportunistic diseases compared to when the condition is less than 200 cells per cubic millimeter. So it is not wrong to say that mainly the HIV infection is a consequence of depletion in CD4 cells. Now we'll see the classification of antiretroviral drugs. Now this very classification is very much important for the examination sake. You should be mugging up this classification. So we have the first group as the nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor, NRTIs. The examples being zidovudine, stavudine, lamivudine, abacavir, gelstabine, emtricitabine, didanosine. Then the second group is non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor. Examples being efavirenz, nevirapine, delavirdine, etravirine, relpivirine. The another group is nucleotide reverse transcriptase inhibitor. Many books combine this and this together. So in that case, the tenofovir is the example. Then we have protease inhibitor, where we have the examples like saquinavir, indinavir, nalfinavir, amprinavir, fosamprinavir, ritonavir, lopinavir, atazanavir, darunavir, tipranavir, and others. The other group is entry of fusion inhibitor, where there is enfoviritide is example. Then we have CCR5 inhibitor, maraviroc. Then we have integrase inhibitor, and then there is newer antiretroviral drugs which are there in pipeline or must have been out now. So the first group, which is nucleoside and nucleotide reverse transcriptase inhibitor. Nucleotide reverse transcriptase inhibitor, we saw there is one group which is tenofovir, one drug. So this NRT, this is in short, it is known as NRTI, nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor, or nucleotide reverse transcriptase inhibitor. When you say nucleotide reverse transcriptase inhibitor, the example should be tenofovir, this one. But when you are saying nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor, then it would be zidovudine, stavudine, and others. So we have this NRTI inhibits HIV encoded RNA dependent DNA polymerase. So you need to remember this particular thing. So it will inhibit the RNA dependent DNA polymerase, and it will prevent infection of susceptible cells which are prone for getting infected. But this particular group of drug will not eradicate the virus from the cell that are already infected. So that is an important point. It will prevent the infection of the normal or the healthy cells, but it will not eradicate the viruses from the cells which are already infected. All the group of all the drugs which comes under this group should be or must be triphosphorylated at 5-hydroxyl part structurally, and then only activity is given. Exception is there of tenofovir. We'll see the tenofovir later on. So all other drugs should be triphosphorylated to convert into active form, and then action is given. After conversion to this form, there is inhibition of HIV reverse transcriptase, and this happens without inhibiting the host cell DNA polymerase. So it will not inhibit the host cell polymerase, but it will inhibit only the HIV reverse transcriptase. So we have already seen the structure, the life cycle. So upon reverse transcriptase inhibition, there is no formation of double-stranded DNA, and then the further consequence, further paths are inhibited. The phosphorylated anabolites are eliminated from cells much more gradually than parent drug is eliminated from the cell. Once the parent drug that is nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors, zidovudine and all, when they get triphosphorylated, these phosphorylated metabolites are eliminated slowly than the parent drug. So when zidovudine is there and zidovudine triphosphate is there, so triphosphate, zidovudine triphosphate will be much slowly metabolized or eliminated from the body in comparison to the drug per se, that is zidovudine. So the first example is zidovudine. Structurally, it's a synthetic thymidine analog. It's a thymidine analog, and that's a synthetic drug. It is active against HIV-1 and HIV-2, and also against the human T lymphotrophic virus. Human T lymphotrophic viruses 1 and 2 both. It is active in lymphoblastic and monocytic cell lines, but has no impact on cells already infected with HIV. That I have already told. So this is the part where this group of drug acts. Reverse transcriptase is the path, and the conversion of viral genome RNA to cDNA RNA complex, and then formation of double-stranded unintegrated DNA. This part is inhibited. When this is inhibited, this enzyme is inhibited, so further process is halted, and then you will not get new cells infecting viruses. Now, mechanism of action and adverse effects we'll see. So, zidovudine is the drug, the parent drug, that converts to triphosphate, as I have already told. That converts to zidovudine 5-triphosphate, and this particular metabolite terminates elongation of proviral DNA, which is incorporated by reverse transcriptase into nascent DNA. How the resistance occurs? Resistance occurs when there is a conversion in the codon of a reverse transcriptase. When there is mutation or there is changing of the codon in the reverse transcriptase enzyme, then resistance occurs towards this drug. This particular drug can cross blood-brain barrier, placenta, appears in the milk, appears in the semen and fetal tissue. So should not be given to lactating person, the female, should not be given to the lady who is pregnant. So the thing should be taken care of. Adverse effects like fatigue, malaise, myalgia, nausea, anorexia, headache and insomnia. These symptoms usually resolve within a few weeks of taking this drug. Chronic adverse effects may appear like nail hyperpigmentation, skeletal muscle myopathy, serious hepatic toxicity, and bone marrow suppression. Now coming to the drug interaction of this drug, we have probenecid, fluconazole, atovaquone, and valproic acid. These drugs increases the zidovudine concentration. It will cause increased concentration of this zidovudine drug. How? These drugs will inhibit the glucuronosyl transferase. So upon inhibiting this particular enzyme, there is lesser of metabolism occur of this drug, and so there is increase in the concentration of zidovudine. So the drug has to be taken care of when we combine zidovudine along with these drugs. The next very drug is lamivudine, where we see this is a cytidine analog and also inhibits the reverse transcriptase enzyme, and this is effective against HIV-1, HIV-2 and HPV virus, hepatitis B virus. It can be given for HIV for adult and child who are 3 months or older. Mechanism, it enters cells passively it will enter, then it will be converted to 5-triphosphate. So it is phosphorylated to 5-triphosphate. Again, there is conversion, right? Similar as that of zidovudine. So all drugs it happens except of tenofovir. Now it has a lower affinity for a human DNA polymerase, and that's why it do not affect the host cell. Resistance occurs through the substitution at the single amino acid, either at this position or at this position. So single amino acid substitution occurs, and because of that there is resistance occurs. Pharmacokinetic is excreted unchanged in urine, and then dose adjustment is needed if the creatinine clearance is less than 50 milliliter per minute, and this can easily cross the placenta. So again, pregnant ladies should take care. Adverse effects at higher dose: neutropenia, headache, nausea, and pancreatitis may be seen. The next drug is abacavir. This is a synthetic purine analog. It's a synthetic purine analog and can be given to adult and pediatric patients more than 3 months of age. Mechanism: this is the only approved antiretroviral drugs which is active as a guanosine analog. So when we see the structure, this is the guanosine analog drug, and this is the only drug of that type and approved for antiretroviral action. Again, this drug is phosphorylated to 5-triphosphate, carbovir 5-triphosphate, and this terminates proviral DNA because it is incorporated by reverse transcriptase. So what you should understand is this also converts to this triphosphate, and that inhibits the transcriptase enzyme. Sorry. Now resistance toward this drug may happen because of the 4 specific substitution at this position: L74V position, Y115F position, and M184V position. So any substitution at any place may cause resistance to this drug. Other mechanism also is there for resistance. If there is a mutation at codon 41, 210, and 215, then also resistance may happen. The pharmacokinetic and adverse effect. The pharmacokinetic: food will not affect the oral bioavailability, so it can be taken along with food. It is neither a substrate nor an inhibitor of cytochrome P, which means that it will not inhibit the cytochrome P enzymes. Also, it will not be metabolized by the cytochrome P enzymes. So if there is increase or induction of cytochrome P, then also there won't be any effect, or it will not be going to inhibit the cytochrome P. Adverse effects: unique and potentially fatal hypersensitivity syndrome may be seen, which is characterized by fever, abdominal pain, other GI complaints, mild maculopapular rash, malaise, and fatigue. Then we have the hero drug, that is tenofovir, which is different from other. It is a derivative of 5-PMP that lacks a complete ribose ring. So important. It lacks the complete ribose ring. Only nucleotide analog for treatment of HIV. Another important thing. This is the only nucleotide analog. So the name for this would be nucleotide reverse transcriptase inhibitor. This is available as a prodrug in the form of diazoproxil and alafenamide. Another important point. Then this is active against HIV-1 and HIV-2 for adults and children older than 2 years. Then it is active against HBV also for adults and children older than 12 years. What is the mechanism? Tenofovir diazoproxil is hydrolyzed rapidly to tenofovir and then phosphorylated by cellular kinase to active metabolite, which is tenofovir diphosphate. So there it used to be converted to triphosphate. Here there is first it gets hydrolyzed to tenofovir. This prodrug gets hydrolyzed to tenofovir, and then tenofovir gets phosphorylated to diphosphate, which actually is a triphosphate. Now this will have the competitive inhibition of viral reverse transcriptase and is incorporated into HIV DNA to cause chain termination. It will have low affinity for human DNA polymerase alpha, polymerase beta, and polymerase gamma. So for a human polymerase enzyme, it has very low affinity, and that's why it will not affect the host cell. Pharmacokinetic and adverse effects. The 70 to 80% of the drug is excreted unchanged in urine. This is on IV administration. Adverse effects, rare episode of acute renal failure and Fanconi syndrome. Rare episode. Should be cautiously given to renal compromised person. Why? Because most of the drug is excreted unchanged in urine. If there is renal inactivity or malfunction, then the drug won't be able to excrete it. The rebound HBV may happen when the drug is abruptly withdrawn. So in case of this, the precautions should be there not to withdraw the drug all of a sudden. This particular table shows the pharmacokinetic profile of the important drugs. See, the drugs which comes under this group are different in their pharmacokinetic parameters. So we can see here, we have this drug having highest oral bioavailability, followed by this, and this, right? The effect of meal on area under the curve, this is decreased by 24 if taken with meal. This is decreased by 55 and increased by 40. This is important, increased by 40 when taken with high food. And these are unaltered when taken along with food. Plasma half-life is the maximum for this particular group, followed by this. Otherwise, these are very less, right? Then we have intracellular T half of the triphosphate. Remember that there is conversion of drug to triphosphate. So the T half of triphosphate is more for this and this and this. Otherwise, lesser for all of them. Plasma protein binding is maximum for this one, followed by this and this. Otherwise, protein binding is lesser for this, and this. Metabolism for gluconidation and purine metabolism and dehydrogenase gluconidation. Renal excretion is mostly 70 to 80% of tenofovir. That's why we told that should be taken care when it is taken by the renal compromised person. And then this also. Then coming to the other group, which is non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor. The examples are nevirapine, efavirenz, delavirdine, atravirine, nelpivirine. Now, this group of drugs do not require activation through phosphorylation. This is unlike the first group. Here, there is no need of activation or conversion to phosphorylate group. So it binds directly with this group of drug binds directly to a hydrophobic pocket in a P66 subunit of the HIV1 transcriptase, reverse transcriptase. So in the enzyme, there is a pocket called P66 subunit. There it goes and binds. And this pocket is specifically distant from the active site. Then after binding, there is conformational change in the structure of the enzyme. The enzyme's structure is changed. And that greatly, because of the change in the structure, the activity is reduced. And thus, can be said as a non-competitive inhibitor, because it acts by binding to a subsite which is different from the active site, and then it causes just a conformational change in the structure of the enzyme. So there is reduction in the activity of this enzyme. It is active against HIV-1 but not HIV-2 or other retroviruses. The metabolism is through liver, and the examples like efavirenz, etravirine, and nevirapine, these three drugs induces the cytochrome P3A4 induces. So all the drugs which gets metabolized through this enzyme, the concentration will be decreased if it is given along with this drug. Other than that, this drug is the inhibitor of this enzyme. It's an inhibitor of this enzyme. That means it will inhibit this enzyme, and then concentration of this drug, the drug given along with drug, this will be increased. So again, here only, this is the only step where this group of drug acts. The only difference is this goes and binds to a different pocket which is distinct from the active site, and then changes the structure of the enzyme. High level drug resistance can be caused by a single amino acid change in an RTI binding pocket. If there is a single amino acid change also, then there would not be a binding of this drug to the enzyme, and then resistance may occur. That may happen even with the single dose also. So usually this group of drug is combined along with the other drugs. An NRTI should never be used as single agent in monotherapy or as the sole addition to a failing regimen. Never. Rashes can occur with all NRTI, and usually during the first 4 weeks of therapy. That happens. Rare cases of potentially fatal DRESS or Stevens-Johnson syndrome may happen with nevirapine, efavirenz, nalpevirin, and this drug. Then fat accumulation may be seen in case of nevirapine. Then we have nevirapine. This is a dipyridodiazepinone derivative, which is active against HIV-1 and can be given to adult, children, and infants. It can readily cross the placenta and has been found in the breast milk also. So lactating in pregnancy should not be given. It's a moderate inducer of cytochrome P, which means it will stimulate the activity of this enzyme, resulting in the increased metabolism of the drugs. And then it will induce its own metabolism also. So it will induce the metabolism of other drugs given along with, and this will cause the increased metabolism of its own. Adverse effects like rash, pruritus, Stevens-Johnson syndrome, rare cases, the clinical hepatitis, the fever, fatigue, headache, somnolence, and nausea may happen. It may induce the cytochrome P3A4 and then cause enhanced methadone clearance, as well as enhanced clearance of ethylene estradiol or norethindrone. So, for lady who is on contraceptive pills and all, those should be opting for alternative method of birth control, because it causes increased clearance of those group of drugs because of induction of the CYP3A4 enzyme. Then we have efavirenz, another drug. This is again a non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor, and that has a potent activity against HIV-1. This is approved for adult and pediatric patients having aged more than 3 years and weight at least 10 kg. It is used widely because of its convenience, effectiveness, and long-term tolerability. Safely combined with rifampin, and that's why it can be given to a person having viral infection suffering from tuberculosis. Bioavailability is increased by 22% with high-fat meal, so should be given with high-fat meal. So more than 99% bound with plasma proteins, so only 1% is not bound. Other than that, the whole drug is positively bound with plasma protein. The drug should be taken initially on an empty stomach at bedtime to reduce its side effect. The long elimination T-half permits only once daily dosing, so the compliance would be better in this case. The pharmacokinetic, mostly the adverse effect is related with the CNS or psychiatric side effects like dizziness, the impaired concentration, the dysphoria, vivid or disturbing dreams, and insomnia. The CNS side effects generally becomes more tolerable and resolves within first 4 weeks of the therapy. So when we keep on giving the drug for the initial 3 weeks, it causes the CNS side effect, and then tolerance comes towards the CNS side effects. The rash may appear in the first week, and the Stevens-Johnson syndromes is a rare complication. Headache may be seen, increased hepatic transaminases can be seen, and elevated serum cholesterol is there. Moderate inducer of CYP3A4, weak to moderate CYP inhibitor, so it induces this also and it inhibits this. Decreased concentration of phenobarbital because of the induction of CYP3A4, phenytoin and carbamazepine method. Rifabutin bioavailability is also reduced because of induction of these enzymes. Relpivirine, the next drug. It's a diarylpyrimidine analog active against HIV-1. It's a best side effect profiles. That means the side effects are very less and very less severe. Has few or no central nervous system side effect as compared to efavirenz. That's a positive part. Higher concentration of relpivirine may cause prolongation of QTC interval, and it is given for adult and pediatric patients of 12 years or more age and weighing not less than 35 kg. Pharmacokinetic absorption of relpivirine is food and pH dependent, so it gets influenced by the presence of food and pH. Given with food and not with high protein and low fat supplement. Not to be given with proton pump inhibitor and H2 receptor antagonist, otherwise the efficacy is reduced. Adverse effect, the CNS adverse effect, this is less than efavirenz. Depression may be seen, elevated hepatic transaminases it causes, and then enzyme inducing drugs, rifampicin, carbamazepine, phenobarbital, phenytoin, it reduces the concentration of relpivirine by inducing the metabolism of enzymes, metabolism of this drug. There is prolongation of QTC, and this is very dose dependent action. Atravirine, this is a diarylpyrimidine NNRTI that is active against HIV-1. Inhibit the reverse transcriptase that are resistant to other NNRTI. So this is an important drug. This is the resistance is there. If the drug is resistant, if the enzyme is resistant towards another drug, in that case this drug is effective. For use of only in the treatment of experienced adult and children 6 years or older with viral strain resistance to another NNRTI. Pharmacokinetic is food causes increased bioavailability. Methyl and dimethyl hydroxylated metabolite by CYP3A4 to C9 to C19. Adverse effects is rash, and it's an inducer of CYP3A4 and gluconyl transferase and an inhibitor of this enzyme. So both this is a inducer also and inhibitor also. Specific inducer of this and a specific inhibitor of this enzyme. Atravirine should not be combined with other NNRTI. Atravirine should not be combined with any other type of NNRTI. So again, this is the pharmacokinetic parameter. Again, this is a pharmacokinetic parameter of different drugs which falls under this group. Kindly see to it. Oral bioavailability of this drug is much more than we have plasma half-life is more of this and this drug. So likewise, you should go through the table of pharmacokinetic of this group of drugs. So next class I'll continue from here. I'll include the protease inhibitor and the newer drugs, the entry of fusion inhibitor, and then the HIV regimen. Thank you so much.